they are not, because Allah said, those who were hit by calamity, they will say, we all belong to Allah and we shall return back to Him. To say La hawla wa quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim is definitely is one of the treasures of Jannah, or paradise. But that's not the place for it. This is not to say it. Allah taught us how or what to say whenever we are hit by calamity, when we have a problem. When do we say La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah? And when do we say Inna lillahi wa inna raji'un? We all belong to Allah and we shall be back to Him. If you are at night and you woke up at night suddenly, the Prophet ﷺ said, whomever said La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la lahu al-mulk wal-hamdu wa ala kulli shay'in qadir, subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. If he said that statement and they said, oh Allah forgive me, or made any dua, he will be answered. So one of the bounties of Allah, if you wake up abruptly at night, that you will remember Allah, to find your tongue mention Allah's name with the dua that the Prophet ﷺ taught us. And try to understand, if you during the day you are mentioning Allah all the time, when you wake up at night, you will find yourself mentioning Allah with no thinking about it. And if you want to increase and you made wudu and made two offers, 2 rakats and prayers, the Prophet ﷺ said that your prayer will be accepted. Whenever you hear the mu'adhin say, welcome to the prayers, welcome to the success, then you say La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no exchange from one condition to another except by Allah. And also when you leave your house, you say that, meaning you don't go from the sin, that you will not go to a sin of Allah, nor would you do any good except by the might of Allah. And when you do that, then you have sufficient and you are protected, and the shaitan will stay away from you. So whenever you leave your house in the morning and you say Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa rahmatullah billah, then you will be told that you are given enough and you will be protected, and the shaitan cannot get into you. So make sure whenever you leave your house, whenever you leave your any place, you say the dua of leaving the house, because Allah will protect you from any accident, protect you from any harm that might have happened to you. Because Allah said, we made one of you to others as a fitna, as a trial. So whenever you ask Allah's refuge, when you first leave the house, and you increase the dua that the Shaykh was saying, that you are asking Allah's refuge that you will do transgression on someone, nor would you be spreading ignorance, or someone will throw ignorance on you, then Allah Azza wa Jal will protect you. So I hope that when you say this dua, that no harm will ever happen to you. And also after every prayer, the Prophet ﷺ, he used to say after each one, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu al-mulk wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. He used to make this dua after each prayer. With talking about the mistake that people do, let's remember the hadith that Bilal ibn al-Harith narrated, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the man, he will say the word from the satisfaction of Allah. He never thought that it will reach as high. Allah will write his satisfaction until he meets him. And also a man will say a word out of the anger of Allah that he never thought that I'll get the anger of Allah. Allah will write him with him his madness, his anger at him until the day of judgment. And Alqamah, may Allah bless him, he said, how many times I wanted to say this hadith is stopped from saying it. I'm always afraid that this statement or this word I might say might be either good or bad for me. So I'm afraid that it will harm me more than the other part. The other hadith, the man, he will say the word, he don't pay attention to it, it will throw him in the hellfire 70 years. And there is also the hadith to Mu'adh. Was there anything thrown people in their noses to the hellfire except what they cultivated from their tongues, from whatever they uttered in their tongue, in their mouth? One of the common mistakes that I want Allah Azza wa Jal to protect us from it, either because it's goes to the extreme in the boundaries of Allah, or it has a mistake, that foolishness from people to say. And this is a lot of them, but I will give you an example. Someone get mad at someone, may Allah give you a transgression just like you did transgression. Allah does not do a transgression. Allah said He will not transgress, not even an atom weight. And if it is one good deed, He will multiply it, and He gives from Himself great reward. Allah said, "O my servant, I have forbidden transgression on myself, and I made it forbidden among you. So do not transgress against each other." Allah does not do aggression on nobody. Allah does not do wrong to anyone. And Allah does not do anyone any transgression. This is Allah. Allah does not do transgression to any of His servants. This is Allah that we glorify and we respect, and we, with that, this is one of the common things, is to that we hope that we be careful when we say it. Someone might think that he has no gratitude to the favors. He said the flesh of his shoulder is from my own goodness. He forgot who is the sustainer. It is Allah the Almighty. Allah is the one who provides. Allah is the one who gives. He is the strong. So if you made a favor to someone as a gift or a charity, remember the one who gave you. I mean, the person who does this is one of the big sins. The Prophet said, good talk and goodness is better than a charity that you follow it by harm. Like the person who spent his money showing off and who do not believe in the Allah and the hereafter. He is like someone who has a plate that has dust, and then a wind came in and blew everything away. So he'll have nothing. One of the mistakes in funerals that people say, the rest is in your life. Is there anything that the deceased left? No. The Prophet ﷺ said that the Holy Spirit inspired to me that no one will die until it all reach its sustenance and its time. So beautify your dua to Allah. There's specific numbers of days and your time is limited. So remember, when it reaches to your throat and you are looking at your soul cleaving, and Allah is more closer to you than, and you don't see, Allah said, if you did not have a debt, you will go back if you are truthful. آمين آمين آمين. From the mistake that people say to cuss the time, like saying this is a bad time, this is the worst time. What you are not aware of, that you are doing something ugly, very ugly thing. Allah said, don't cuss the time. I am time. I have the authority. I change day and night. I am the one that you are cussing in the name of time. The Muslim does not dare cuss Allah directly, but the shaitan, he will give him an illusion to, he is angry about something, so the shaitan knows that he wants him to curse the person who did something wrong to him. He cannot curse Allah, so he will say, this is the worst time, this is the, and all types of statements about the time. And he forget that Allah is time. It is the time that Allah has given for His destinations, good and bad, the bitterness and sweetness. Allah is the one, He's the one who created everything. Allah said, everything we have created with measurements. So anything that happened to you, whether good or bad, Allah is the one who did it. He is the one who does what He wants. No one has, everybody wants something what he don't want, or he does what he don't like. But the one who does everything he wants and likes is Allah the Almighty. Ameen. 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 From the mistake that people say, the nap or the sleeping time of the transgressor, it is a worship. First of all, to say worship, this is wrong. Allah Azza wa Jal is the one who initiated, or He told us how to worship Him. So to worship Allah Azza wa Jal, how would you know that sleeping it is worship? Only if you intended that you use it to help you, give you strength to obey Allah, to worship Allah at the night time. Because sleeping is an action of habit, not a worship. But when does it become a worship? Is when the intention is done. Just like the intercourse between a person and his wife, it is a charity. If he wanted to protect himself and his wife, and he's seeking the good offspring, so this natural the nature of this human being becomes a worship to Allah Azza wa Jal if the intention is there. So we have to take things back to its original worship. Another way, worshiping Allah Azza wa Jal is something that has to be done according to what Allah has described and clarified to us. You cannot initiate or find something different types of ways to worship Allah. You cannot give that description of worship to Allah without an evidence from Quran or Sunnah. Ameen. Also, there is a common statement that the disobedience of Allah Azza wa Jalla, the people who disobey Allah Azza wa Jalla, they have no backbiting, as if the backbiting only for the righteous people. But the people who disobey Allah clearly or obviously, because he did that, like if someone smokes in front of people, when he says this person is backbiting, I mean, when you backbite him and say he is smoking, because this person, when he declared to in front of people. But it's not up to you to say and talk about all his other mistakes and flaws and declare it to people. No. only on what he has declared of disobedience of Allah. And I think beyond that, you should not talk about. Everything on the Muslim is forbidden: his blood, his wealth, and his honor. I mean his reputation. Just like the one who can pay back his debt and he has the money and he don't want to pay what is due to him, this is a transgression and it requires his punishment. You cannot give him in this part. You can talk about he is not a person who is paying his debt on time, so don't deal with him with financials. So blacklisted him. So this is allowed to say, but you cannot go beyond that, because this person, he did the transgression of he is able to pay his debt or his payment, but he did not. Because if he has a hardship, then you look at a time of ease. And Allah said, if you give charity, it is better for you. Ameen. 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 Truthfully, whomever understood his religion, he will protect his tongue. The person who do not preserve his tongue, he did not take care of his religion. Sometimes people say some very bad statements about destiny or the decree of Allah, and you find some songs that are making direct cursion to Allah the Almighty, because He's the one who decides the decree. He's the one who decides what every person destination and every decree that Allah has put for him. So any person who says that, how could he have any faith in his heart? Part of faith that you believe in Allah and the goodness and the badness of what Allah has decreed for you. Allah does not play. Allah does not do anything randomly like this. Allah has created everything and He is in charge of everything. When you don't understand some of the actions of Allah and you don't know the wisdom of it at this time, because you don't see except within your human capability and all the other things, if you have learned what Allah's knowledge is, then you will know that Allah's destination decree on you in that place, it is the most wise that there is and the most just. That's why it is said, remember Allah from His attributes and names, but don't know Him from His actions alone, because you have no knowledge of the wisdom of His actions unless you have knowledge like Allah's knowledge, and none of you have that knowledge of Allah. So you know Allah's justice and His wisdom when you uncover His knowledge, and none of us has that. We don't have that capability because we're human beings and we are limited in our thinking and our knowledge. So we know Allah Azza wa Jalla with His names and attributes, not by His actions. Allah do not do wrong to anyone. Allah do not do wrong to His servants. Allah did not created this life foolishly or randomly or as of to play. And do you think you do not come back to us? High is Allah, the one who have the great throne. So when we talk about this specific point is to be angry at Allah. Someone who don't like Allah's decree or the calamity Allah gave him or tested him with, He thinking that if he cry, you can do that. The eye can sadden, I mean, cry, and the socket painful. There's nothing wrong with that. But to get your tongue and say the words of rebellions against Allah, this is wrong. Or to wonder about the wisdom of Allah Azza wa Jal, this is also this is the part that people exceed in what they are allowed. Yaqub, who is the prophet of the son of another prophet, he was saddened about Yusuf and he became blind. He's a prophet from Allah. For him to lose his son Yusuf, it reflected on his health, where he lost his sight until his shirt was thrown in his face. And then he said, "Didn't I tell you that I know from Allah what you don't know?" He said, "Oh, our Father, ask forgiveness for our sins. We were wrong." He said, "I will ask my Lord. He is the most forgiving, the merciful." Also from the foolish statement that people say, when someone dies, he'll say, "Oh, Allah just remembered him." Allah did not forget no one. Allah does not go astray, nor does He forget. Be careful of what you're saying about Allah. And some people say, "Oh, His remembrance is mercy." You think Allah will forget? Allah do not forget no one. This is ignorance in Allah and not knowing Allah the true way. These are foolish statements that people say. And even when they say that someone was taken to his last destination, that's the grave is not the last destiny, because Allah said that you were busy with multiplication until you visited the graves. It is a visit. Allah said, "You will know, and you will know." As far as this life, you can say that, but if you look at that this life and the life in between the grave, this is a life in between the two lives. And this is the separation between the hereafter and this life. From these statements, that might be right by itself, but it is used the wrong way. If you deny someone a sin, whether he said it or he said, Allah is the Lord of heart. If this is clean, everything is easy, everything is simple. This is not true. True, Allah do not look at your bodies, He look at your hearts and your actions. This is the heart is something that Allah look at. The heart is king and everything else is soldiers. If it is correct, everything else good. There's no doubt about this, but and you want to switch their matter around. So he want to apologize for the wrongdoing because his heart is good. It is right. Allah's Prophet said, if there is one piece that if it is good, everything else will be good and correct. Indeed, it is the heart. And some of the verses, or some of the things that are not right, say, "Oh, Allah didn't ask you to revert the destination, but to be kind for me. This is not true in dua. It's not accurate. You can say, oh Allah, prevent me from any harm. Because the dua and the destiny of Allah, they fight in the heavens. The dua and calamity and the destination of Allah, they fight between heavens and earth. So it is okay to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to prevent any harm to you and to be free from the ignorance of people. The Prophet ﷺ, he asked Allah's refuge from Su' al-Qada, the worst of Allah's destination. So don't worry. The Prophet ﷺ said, this hadith,
ولما تسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى تخفيف القضاء دون أن تسأله إزالته.
You almost ask Allah Azza wa Jal to remove the calamity from you. You can ask Allah Azza wa Jal, oh Allah, take off all the calamities. Don't say 50%, don't say, no, completely. Oh Allah, prevent me from any harm and to be saddened.
اللهم اهدنا سواء السبيل
آمين.
وقنا عذابك يوم تبعث عبادك يا رب العالمين. أما ما يشيع على ألسنتي.
Some of the things that are common of asking someone else beside Allah to help or to make dua to someone else beside Allah, from the thing that no one can do except Allah, this is part of monotheism, shirk, of having partners with Allah, that you need to be very careful, because the shirk is the worst transgression anyone can do. Allah said there's one part that Allah will never forgives at all except with repentance, and one thing that Allah will never leave, which is the rights of people no matter what. And the other one Allah don't care about, from a fasting that he did. It's up to Allah, either He will punish you or He will forgive you. Amen. Amen. We need to look back and examine our statements. We remember Allah saying they don't utter anything, any statement, and they have two witnesses, Raqib, someone who writes everything, and one who is observer, and the other one is present. They count on you, everything you say, everything you do, and every writer, everyone is going to die, so don't find in your book anything that you don't like to see. And the last thing, and which is the worst thing that people say, is to cuss or curse Allah or the religion. Some people, they cuss Allah Azza wa Jal. And subhanallah, the Halim, the kind, the patient. If Allah get angry on these people, and while they're cursing, and they are His servants, and they walk in His land, and His sun covers them, and they eat from His systems, and they breathe from His air, and they cuss Him or curse Him. To cuss the religion, if you want the religion that came from Muhammad, it is disbelief in Allah with the universal thing, and nothing disputed about it. And sometimes the one who cussed, he don't mean what the words that he said. He don't like the person. He's not cussing the religion itself. The Prophet cussing the Muslim is fusuq, which is disobedience, And Muslims do not backbite, nor what does he do the extreme. Nor the person who throw a false accusation on people. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, some of the hypocrites, they start making jokes on the Mumraz of the Quran, who said that they are most coward. And they were afraid that a surah will come out, will say what's in their heart. So they rushed to the Prophet ﷺ to apologize to him. Allah said the hypocrites, they are afraid that a surah will come down that will tell what's in their hearts. Allah said, make fun, Allah Azza wa Jal will expose what you have. And if you ask them, they'll say, we were just playing. Then you say, with Allah and His signs and His messenger, you were mocking and making fun. Don't apologize, you have disbelieved after your faith. So cussing the religion and the people who are religious, because they are religious, just like killing the Muslims to his own religion. Killing the Muslim is a major sin, but if you kill him just because he's a Muslim, this is even worse. This is one of the doors or gates of moving out of Islam. Prophet said, cussing the Muslim is a disobedience, and kill him is kufr. Could mean the big kufr. Two Muslims said that it is allowed to kill, and he killed the Muslim because of his identity. This is also forbidden from entering the paradise. To kill somebody on his identity because he's a Muslim or a believer, this is not a regular crime. Especially when you look at the greatness of the killing in all its forms, that is forbidden. Allah said, whomever kills a believer intentionally, then he deserves hellfire internally, and Allah's anger on him and curse him, and He prepared for him a great torment. The Muslim is still on goodness in his religion as long as he don't touch somebody's blood. Every sin is accepted in hope that Allah will forgive him, except one of them was a Muslim kill another Muslim intentionally. So if you kill somebody because of his religion, this is worse of a crime and goes from disobedience to disbelief in Allah. We ask Allah to protect, so inshallah we'll continue on Monday.
وأن يحيينا وإياكم في أحسن الأمور عنده وإليه عاقبة ويردنا وإياكم إلى دينه عقدا جميلا وأن يصلح لنا